Welcome to the Legion Outriders podcast, a member of the Radio Free Tattooing Network.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
Your source for the latest Legion news, opinion, and analysis.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
John Archiquette.
Will somebody get this big walking carpet out of my way?
Matt Turner.
I'm not afraid.
And Joshua Gray.
You will be.
What's going on, Outriders? John, Josh, and Matt. We're back to, bring it to the normal order of things, not Matt, Josh, and John.
That was a chaotic time.
It was. Yeah. It was a heady half of one episode, but we're back to normal. And
before the dark times, before the John Pyre.
Before the jackbooted heel of John descended upon our fragile necks.
We're back with the Legion Outrider podcast. We've got a normal three hosts here. We're hanging out and trying not
Everything's perfectly average.
Not to freeze our butts off, which is weird because it's like 50 degrees here in Las Vegas.
It is currently 67 degrees in Las Vegas.
It's about 50 degrees back here in the
state. On the 23rd of May, when it's normally like 95.
Currently in the studio, though, it's like 50 degrees.
Yeah.
So.
That's because we get a special pipe of air conditioning coming straight back here. It's straining to work out in the main room, but we get like pure frigid air here.
I thought this was actually like an announcement that the Tauntauns were here.
No.
The Hoffmets and Tauntauns.
Joke's on you.
But they're on the boat.
Are they?
No.
Have we seen confirmation?
I do not care about those updates.
What does the Italian website say? And the Spanish website?
Buongiorno.
Yeah, so that's probably the first thing we want to get into today is, Matt, as our link to all things Asmodee distribution related, what's the latest?
Here's your Star Wars news.
Yeah. So, official dates, which is the only thing I go by. I don't pay attention to what's at the printers, what's on the boat, because none of that matters. It really doesn't. The things that matter are the distribution website and the dates that they have listed for release. The only thing that is hasn't been released that has a current release date is the Downed ATST, and that's June 27th.
Ooh.
Everything else is still date unknown, basically. Their placeholder date for everything. I was really, really, really hoping we'd have some updates by now this week. It doesn't, because they usually give about 2 weeks before they, crank out the units. Oh, Sabine, Boss, Rebel, Defenders, whatever, they're going to be out in, 2 weeks. And it's like, nope.
So if something drops next week, it'll be essentially a complete surprise.
It'll probably be, it would be a surprise, and we're probably looking at early June at this point.
Because we're looking at, it's been... 2 months since they did the live stream with Sabine, Bosk, the tank, and the speeder?
Yeah, and it might have been a little bit longer than that.
I mean, they hit us with all kinds of reveals right there, like showing us all the cards for those, essentially, and then left us hanging for 2 months.
All of that spring fat has run its course, and you're ready to be fed again?
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm crawling out of my cave.
Yeah.
I can only go...
Doing just fine.
I can only be so excited for 2 units of clones. I mean...
Yeah, so I'm really hoping FFG, if you're listening, let us know when Sabine and Bosk are coming.
Yes, please.
Because
thank you.
We like those of us who can't figure out TTS really want to play with them.
I'm sure there's probably a YouTube video out there. Do you know about YouTube?
Do you know who you're talking to? I mean, come on.
Right.
Even with the tutorial, it's
that's fair.
50-50 whether he'll get it to work or not.
That's true. Well, how do you watch a YouTube tutorial on how to use YouTube, though? That's the conundrum.
Well, first you got to read a book on how to read. So
that's like when you get a new computer. The only time Internet Explorer or Microsoft Edge gets opened up is to download Chrome.
Yeah. Go dig your own grave.
You've done your job. Now go be free.
I'm surprised that it's not like China and you're like, I'm sorry, you can't get to that website from here.
Well, since we don't have any pressing FFG news, we're gonna do a little bit more.
There's Star Wars news
analysis.
Is there Star Wars news?
There is. Yeah, we'll get to that later on in the show. Also, we're gonna talk about what we're seeing in the Invader League Season 3. They're down to the final 4 now. So we
got a big stat dump.
Yeah. So
are we doing more brackets or something?
No. LJ's doing that. He's got brackets covered there.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah, he's actually doing the brackets unlike us, waiting a month and then just being like, well, let's just finish this.
Yeah.
But no, Star Wars news. Matt, what do we have for Star Wars news?
Not much. Actually, well, as you hear this, it's probably a little too late, but May 23rd was officially the Make Solo 2 happen #day. So,
Only if it's David Weiss and DB Benioff writing it.
Okay. No.
Or David Benioff.
But there was a tweet campaign put forward by I think it was the Resistance podcast, but I support that.
I support that too.
I didn't realize that was their shirts I was seeing at Celebration, Make Solo 2 happen. I was like, yes, because I like Solo. I would love to see a second one. I know. You're very on anything that makes people happy. So, sheltering your orphans, whatever.
I'm excited. I would support that. I'd go see it. The other thing that was kind of cool, too, that I noticed this week was Annie Leibovitz put out a photo spread.
So he previewed this to me earlier, and I was like, who? And both him and Josh were just dumb. This is, again, another gap in my knowledge.
I mean, like, for a second, I'm like, wait, is that like a really niche reference that like not a lot of people are going to know? Or...
Apparently a very famous photographer.
Yeah. Okay.
I would think that if you consume any media at all, you've heard the name Annie Leibovitz.
Do you remember the famous Caitlyn Jenner photo that was on Vanity Fair?
I mean,
that was an Annie Leibovitz photo.
Oh, okay.
Basically, it's like, we need to do like the Pete Buttigieg.
Let me tell you the ones I
was
paid.
Beto.
My favorite.
Beto. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, the Beto O'Rourke with his hands in his pockets.
My favorite photographer is Austin Powers. So
yeah, baby.
I know
That's terrible.
That was pretty bad.
Just go with it.
As bad as his teeth. But anyways. So I will be the uncultured lout for this and every other episode. Annie Leibovitz.
Anyway, so she's a very famous photographer, and they put out a spread on Vanity Fair with episode 9 cast photos, and they look awesome. And we got a preview of a couple new characters.
People. Yeah, there's General Hux has a new buddy. We saw in one of the pictures. Apparently, the Knights of Ren are going to be heavily involved in this movie.
Thank you.
One guy has a gun arm, and the other guy has a giant sword. So apparently, it's also a Final Fantasy VII crossover.
Well, that explains the chocobos then.
Oh, right. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. There's
if Aerith dies halfway through, I'm going to be really sad.
Spoiler.
Oh, that's true.
Shut up.
It's been 15 years.
It's been over 20 years.
Oh, my God,
Yeah.
it has.
Yes.
Ugh.
Right? Feel old yet?
Right.
Cue the Matt Damon aging at Private Ryan speed.
Yeah,
right.
I think this week is the 20th anniversary of the release of The Matrix. Feel old yet?
Right.
Yeah.
Look, I just watched John Wick 3, and I'm pretty sure Keanu Reeves has aged a year, maybe.
No,
he does like
that's
reverse
funny,
dog years.
Because we saw John Wick on Saturday.
Yeah.
And went home and watched The Matrix. And I was like, wow, he's so young. Like, he's aged. You can tell.
It's the first time he looks like he's aged a little bit.
Real good. Oh yeah, he's definitely not doing kind of the crazy stunts he was doing the previous John Wick.
No.
It was still really good, but
without really spoiling too much, it looks like we're getting another Neo Morpheus team up.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah. There was a lot of Matrix nods in that movie, but
guns.
Yeah,
lots of guns. So I'm like, yes.
Yeah, if you haven't seen that movie yet,
see it.
We're not going to go too far into a totally off-topic subject, but yeah.
If you like the other John Wick,
we're now a John Wick podcast.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much it for Star Wars news, right?
John, you working again?
No.
Okay. Well, I was asking him. He's John.
Well, I thought it was John. Plus, Keanu Reeves always plays characters named John. It's like the 6th movie he's been in where the character's named John.
Yeah.
Anyway, not going too far off topic. Star Wars news. We got
that's pretty much.
We're good.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, covered.
Cool.
Nailed
it. Legion stuff. We got a couple games in. Those guys who checked in on the pod or the stream.
Yeah, we did the live stream on Twitch last Friday. We've got some people that have gone through and watched the views afterwards. I'm probably as of right now, I should be uploading it to our Frontier Gaming channel YouTube. So if you want to watch it without the inserted commercials that Twitch likes to put in, it will be up there very soon.
Awesome. Yeah, so Jeff and I played.
Rebel Jeff
on Rebel
and
List.
Rebel John.
And he brought a speeder. He brought kind of, I guess, more of a fun list. I brought a list that I'm trying to play competitively at some point. So I'm just kind of working some things out.
It wouldn't have been so bad if you didn't just keep laughing and calling him noob every couple of minutes.
No, I wouldn't do that to Jeff. Jeff's a good player, and I think he and I have had some really good close matchups. He brought a speeder, 2 ATRTs with rotary. I believe it was Leia, and that was it. I think for commanders, I think it was just Leia.
Wait, what did you bring?
I brought Luke, Leia, and I'm sorry, no, it was Luke Han. I brought Luke Han.
You brought Luke Han. He brought Leia.
Yeah, and it was a good match that came down to basically I killed his. He's got he only
came
had
down
4
to you
trooper
actually
units.
playing the game.
Yeah. He only brought 4 core units, and I made it to a point to kill them while his vehicles went around and killed my stuff. But it was intercept the transmissions. I had gotten up to a 4-1 lead. And so there was no way he was gonna
unless he
beat that.
tabled you kind of thing.
But even still, he had no troopers
2-0
left.
at the end of turn 2.
I killed Leia the second
4-1.
turn.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
How?
Snipers and mostly just I think snipers and something else.
How quickly did you lose Han?
Very quickly as well.
Yeah.
I got a little aggressive with Han, but it happens.
But yeah, you both lost commanders very early on in that game.
Yeah, but it was it was kind of funny because Jeff very rarely plays with Z6s anymore. And he had a bad day with Z6s one time and kind of swore him off.
Yeah.
And I've had games like that, but this last game I've played was the worst Z6s I've ever seen in my life. I went 7 straight Z6 activations rolling 6 blanks.
I hope that continues, since we're playing in about 45 minutes.
Right. So I'm not swearing them off. I'm still keeping them because I know statistically that they're good over the long run. But man, when they go cold, they go cold.
Hurts. What's worse is probably you roll your roll and all your Z6 dices. You see paint, but they're all surges. You're like,
yeah. As a Rebel player, it's yep. No, that's rough.
Womp womp.
But it was a fun game.
I appreciate you guys coming out and playing. I think we're going to try to do that every month or two. See if we can set up for a stream. Maybe get some other people.
We would do it at least a month or two. I mean, I think once a month is fine with me.
Okay, cool.
My Friday
Maybe we
nights
can
are
get Josh
pretty
in for
vacant.
one of them.
Yeah,
who was supposed to be there, but luckily,
I know. I'd planned.
Jess subbed in.
So what did you have for your last game?
So I don't want to go into too much detail because there's kind of a really bad play on my opponent's part. But playing a list against opponent here, he was playing Rebels, first time running his X-34 and a couple of other things. But he had some trooper units, a couple of Pathfinder units, and Luke ended up winning. I ended up winning. Learned an important lesson that day about don't deploy. Infiltrate's great.
Yeah.
It's a very useful keyword. Don't deploy your Pathfinders within a speed 2 move of your enemy's deployment zone.
Yeah, that's
That's a good way to get your 90-point Pathfinders punched to death right out of the gate.
It's
I was like, okay, and then don't throw a card that gives you priority to win the don't throw a 3-pip card.
with
First turn.
Yeah, with Pathfinders and Jin, you really have to strike the balance between
aggressive and
being
too aggressive.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
being too
his first deployment was really good because his first deployment with the unit of Pathfinders, we were playing intercept the transmissions, and we had a vehicle kind of sitting in the middle of the board to kind of if it ends up being key positions or something like that, you've got a piece there that's kind of not a huge terrain piece, but something to fight over. So he took his first Pathfinder unit and deployed it right in cover behind that piece of terrain. And he had a Pathfinder unit with Overwatch on it. Okay. And I'm literally sitting there going, how the hell do I stay? And we had Major Offensive as our condition card, or our deployment zone card. I'm sitting there with a stick going, I can barely put anything outside of range 3 that's going to be worth a damn, right?
Yeah.
And then he deployed his second one outside my deployment zone, and I'm like, all right, okay, this works. I'll do that.
Yeah,
So,
they take a lot of nuance and experience to really get
and he sounded like he was relatively new to playing them, so it's fine, and I'm not trying to make fun of the guy here or nothing, because I've done plenty of stupid things in this game, God knows. and I'm sure that what he'll have learned the lesson that I learned when I first started tabletop gaming is like it's okay to make dumb mistakes. It's not okay to repeat them.
Sure.
So
Damn, I'm gonna have to write that part down.
Yeah. Like you're learning a game if you're making new mistakes all the time, right?
Matt, how's that T-47 list going?
Super good. Thanks for asking.
Super well.
Yeah. I'm going to stand by what I said originally and say, screw you, Josh. I actually played a game on Thursday night as well.
Really?
Did you?
I lost.
Oh.
The end.
What'd you bring?
Miniatures.
Were they Star Wars?
They were Star Wars
Wow.
in nature. Yeah. No, I got to play Zach, and we did I was playing around with Veers, some Death Troopers, and getting the Death Troopers in range of snipers is a bad time. Because Pierce.
Yeah.
I lost a pretty expensive unit really early on. It was a pretty good game otherwise, but...
Still rocking that single Death Trooper?
Yeah, it was
squad?
a single one on that one. Bunch of DLTs. I don't remember what else was in there. Man, it feels like a lifetime ago. All this last week stuff.
Did you have any snipers with it?
Yeah, I had 2 units of snipers. I didn't realize he had 3, so... When he was done with 2 sniper units, like, okay, I'm in the clear, and I started sniping things out. And he was like, and then this sniper unit, I should have read that list a little bit closer.
Did you bring any medbots with it?
No, I didn't. I did place an order on the Skullforge, Shapeways, whatever, to get some of their Imperial medics.
Nice.
Because I just can't stand those robots.
The Doctor Who looking.
Yeah, the Dalek healers. But otherwise,
Not
that was really
exterminate, heal.
Yeah.
Not exterminate.
Exfoliate.
Exfoliate.
The medbots, the spa bots, rather. I guess.
Spa bots.
But yeah, Josh and I are going to get a game in here in about half an hour. And
Can't wait to watch. I'm going to be teaching Legion to somebody
cool.
here soon.
Nice.
So.
Got a few people popping up recently looking at getting into Legion.
It's like the game is getting momentum with a new major release on the horizon.
So what you running, John? What am I in for?
So I'm going to be running. Well, the list I'm going to be taking to an RPQ this weekend. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But it's a little different than what I ran against Jeff last week. I swapped out Han. I'm fighting the urge to play aggressively, and going back to
please do.
No,
That'd be good. Charge your guys. Charge.
I'm trying to go back to something that I know and.
Are you looking for notes at
have
this point?
experience with.
Would you
looking for notes?
Yeah. Would you like some notes on your list?
There's no T-47 in it.
Oh well, see there you go.
I'm doing Luke and Leia, improvised orders on Leia, stims and push on Luke, Chewie with
no
stims
Guardian,
and tenacity.
no esteemed on Leia.
No esteemed on Leia. I've got Chewie with emergency stims and tenacity. I've got 5 Rebel Trooper units, 3 with Z6s, and 3 Sniper Strike teams with just sniper. So 798 with 10 activations.
All right. Cool.
No hunter or anything. Grappling hooks.
No hunter or grappling hooks.
All right. So I've got a pretty basic middle management list. So Veers naked. Well, I mean he's got a uniform on, but no upgrades. Sorry. And then Krennic with strict, which is
as you do.
Is such a great card. Then I've got 4 units of stormtroopers, 3 DLTs. One of those DLT units has a heal bot, and then I've got just a standard 4-man squad of storms with another heal bot. 2 fully kitted DTs, so the Flippy card, the DLT, and then Hunter. And then 2 units of snipers, just the sniper.
That's a good list. It's Jay Shalansky from 5th Trooper put out an article today that was really good, and as he was running a similar list. It's the meta right now.
Krennic is so good.
He really is. Death Troopers are so good.
I take back what I said when we first started seeing his cards, and I'm like, no.
Well, that doesn't sound like you from 10 minutes ago.
No.
About the orphans, jeez.
He's really good. His command cards are great.
Yeah.
Tossing Voracious Ambition at a time when you're trying to preempt another 1-pip is just so good. his other cards are really useful, especially if you've got multiple DT teams.
Yeah. And if you know when to use them.
them. And then, he's the first non-force using hero or commander for the Imperials that's actually kind of worth a damn in combat. Range 2, sure, fine, whatever, but, a red, a black, and a white.
Yeah,
Sharpshooter,
late
Pierce
game
1,
when he's
great at cleaning up two-man squads.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazingly good at cleaning up two-man squads. So yeah, I'm choo-choo all aboard the Krennic train. He's good. He's really good.
Yeah, I played LJ twice with a list similar to that.
Yeah.
It's 2 snipers, 2 DTs, Krennic Veers, and stormtroopers to taste.
Right.
And throw a couple med bots in there and just give extra survivability to your DTs.
Really good.
And it's nasty.
It's really good.
It's efficient. It puts out so much firepower.
Is Krennic basically just taking over the spot that Boba Fett enjoyed until recently?
Well,
they bring different things to the table, literally. But yes, because one, he's 50 points cheaper. So that's 2 DLTs, or that's another strike team. That's another activation. Because I'm at 10 activations also, which is for an Imperialist getting to 10, you had to really you had to fight to make things really really work.
The reason Krennic is replacing him, they play totally different ways. Boba Fett is a scalpel, and he's very he is your weapon. All of his cards benefit just him.
I forgot, in my list I did have Boba Fett, and that was probably the second time I've actually ran him. I had so much fun with him.
Oh, he's a blast.
Yeah.
You just have to resist the urge to just throw him up there and just start shooting things.
Start shooting all the things, because that's not him. He's a work the edges, nibble away,
Exactly,
and then he's got a couple of really good heavy hitter cards.
Sure.
Abilities, if you're doing it off of the command cards. But
Krennic plays more like Veers, but just in a different way. And his ability to manipulate suppression both on your own guys and on your opponent is huge.
Yeah, especially in an objective-based game where you're trying to push in for objectives. Annihilation Looms turn 1 is phenomenal. Here you go.
Yeah, you did that to me. I did not
suppress
enjoy it.
all your dudes. And with strict orders, and then the fact that DTs can remove, they're going to have, them and the snipers aren't going to be suppressed by Annihilation Looms. But if somebody brings a trooper spam list, there you go. Have fun rolling all your stress off, and then using, especially if you have a comm relay to relay that order that you have to put on Krennic off of Krennic onto another trooper unit. You can use strict orders to not have to risk a roll and pull stress off, and you get your 2 actions. So you can double move a bunch of dudes up forward and have range 4 range on them through DLTs or whatever. The amount of range 4 firepower that the Imperials have right now is just disgusting.
Yeah.
It's
and
really
for
good.
newer players, DTs, he's referring to Death Troopers specifically.
Yes, sorry.
And the thing about Death Troopers, you're saying range 4, they're deadly at range 4 right now, but Death Troopers are most efficient range 2.
Right.
Their range 2 gun, it's got the ignore cover. They're throwing a ton of dice.
Right.
You're more
6
powerful.
Red and a white die.
Yeah. You're throwing more dice and better dice at range 2 than you are at range 4, and you don't have to exhaust it like you do with range 4.
Right.
So
that
you're
exhausts.
not safe. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. That one does. The range 3 doesn't. They're normal done. But with Krennic's car, or with Veer's Imperial Discipline, you can automatically reset that anyway.
Yeah.
So they can kill you from anywhere.
But
how are you building your Death Troopers again?
It's the DLT, the config, and Hunter.
Which config?
The flippy
range
card.
4?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm starting with the range 4 because that allows you to, and especially if you pair that with Annihilation Looms, you can put 5 suppression on a unit at range 4 turn 1. I will. Because that'll make me do, unless it's Luke, it's going to make you either activate Commander early, or you're risking panic first turn on your commander.
Yeah.
That's not a good place to be.
And it's a very real possibility,
Yeah.
especially when you're looking at some of the 2-pip, the 2 courage commanders.
Right.
It's very easy to chase them off the board first turn.
And if I can open with a sniper shot on a hero in cover and put 1 wound on him, and then have the ability with Hunter on the DTs to move them up, shoot at a hero unit, and get an aim thanks to Hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're already rolling high efficiency dice.
Right. And then you get to reroll 4 of them in the event of, because they have precise 2. It's so good. Ugh.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, like, you were worried about, your 1 DT unit died to sniper fire. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm bringing 3 snipers, okay?
Yeah.
But
I'm bringing heal bots.
But what am I concentrating on? Do I want to try to shoot one of his DT squads right away? Do I want to try to win the sniper war right off the bat and shoot his snipers and allow his DTs to move in? I'm really, like, I got a lot of targets that I have to try to pick from, and there's no obvious answer.
And then you've got to worry.
Sure.
You've got to worry about your sniper teams getting pasted by a maximum firepower.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
You can't hang them out there. You've got to keep it out of cover, because if I change it up and throw max firepower turn 1 and paste one of your sniper teams, it's probably not the most efficient use of that card. But in a situation where I'm 3-on-2 in the sniper war and down, I might want to reduce your efficiency, especially for rebel snipers. Without that aim, turn 1, I'll take that risk.
We'll talk a little bit more about the efficiency of this list in a little bit. We got a whole segment to talk about that after the break. Real briefly, I just want to talk a little bit of hobby talk. We don't do a whole lot of that in a while.
It's Hobby John
talk.
wants to talk. Yeah,
Hobby talk
amongst yourselves.
555 talk, and we'll hobby.
Rhode Island, neither road nor an island.
Discuss.
Like butter. Okay, now started painting up some of the 3D printed terrain that we got, and I'm really having fun playing around with the new technique that I kind of discovered partly on accident before on a model, but it's starting to look pretty good. I'm starting to get like the crackling effect on like Adobe style buildings, like the Tatooine style.
Hopefully, you'll post up a picture of this.
I'll get to that in a little bit.
Oh, you mean not Photoshop?
No.
Okay.
What do you mean?
Well, you said Adobe buildings.
Oh, no. It's like
not
the Adobe
Photoshop,
like material.
not Premiere.
No.
Okay.
Not the Creative Cloud. No. The
come back from your fishing expedition, Josh. It'll be
right.
okay. We'll get through this.
So yeah, kind of messing around with getting like some of the chipped paint effect on there, and if you spray an undercoat and don't let it dry entirely before you spray another coat on top, it actually starts to get a little bit of like a crackling effect when it dries. So I've been messing around with that. We'll post some pictures, show you what the building kind of looks like with that technique. But yeah, it's starting to like that. The other thing I was going to mention with that now is I finally broke down and got one of those fangled Instagram things.
You're an Instagorm?
Yeah, so it's not for me. It's just for painting stuff, for hobby stuff. So if you want to actually follow some of this stuff that I'm going to start posting, it's going to be...
So you're not doing tasteful nudes on there?
I mean, if I get enough Patreon people, maybe.
And not claiming your taxes. No, he's all about the tasteless nudes.
That's true. No,
just a hint, folks. That's not the Wookiee onesie.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Okay, what's your Instagram
if you make the highest level of Patreon contributor, I'll shave my initials into my chest. No,
that's $5.
My Instagram is at or hash. I don't know, what does it do for Instagram? It's Outrider John, Outrider_John. So the same thing as it is on Discord. That's what my Instagram is. So I posted a couple photos of some 40K
What's your
Warhammer
Snapchat?
stuff. I don't do that. Get out of here. Yeah, so I'm going to post some of the photos of my Legion stuff that I've done so far, some of our terrain pieces, just so you have an idea of how terrible I am. And
yeah, because
what's your grinder?
Wow, really?
What?
Matt? What's yours?
I mean,
mine's Packer fan.
It's.
God,
I was going to say mine's Outrider John. So
we'll be back in a second.
You're listening to the Legion Outriders podcast, a member of the Radio Free Tattooing Network, recorded on location at Power 9 Games. Whether you're looking for the latest releases from Legion, X-Wing, 40K, Magic, or any of our other extensive inventory of board and card games, head to power9games.com and use coupon code OUTRIDER10 to get 10% off your order. Plus, shipping is free on orders over $100. Now, back to the Outriders.
Welcome back, Outriders. John, Josh, and Matt. Now, we talked a little bit last week about the Invader League single elimination tournaments. They were at the top 32, and over the last week or two, they've been kind of whittling that down. So they're down to the Elite 8 right now. And we talked about how we're starting to see a little bit of a shift from being a fairly balanced account to right now there's 75% Imperials, 25% Rebels. And the two guys that are left from the Rebel players, I mean, Kingsley is one of the dudes, you know what I mean? Like I think he's number one, ranked in going into Worlds, and he's just a quality player all around.
Well, don't sell short old Spliffmaster 69 on there too, because or whatever his username was.
The other Rebel player,
yes.
I'll have to check real quick to see who that was.
But
yeah, I mean, they're two really good players. I mean, honestly, if you're at the top 32 single elimination of Invader League, you're a good player.
Sorry, Rippus Master.
Yeah, Rippus Master. So, you have two players that are up there with, the top 6 other players who are all playing various Imperial lists. And we're seeing pretty much the same things out of all the Rebel lists that were in the top 32. Orchimedes did a really good statistical breakdown of what everyone's bringing, the different variations in lists, what cards they were showing up with, and the two themes that really emerged were the Imperials have a number of different ways to win, and the Rebels don't.
Yeah, a number of different ways that involve shooting you at range 4, and taking advantage of killing your white dice if you're a Rebel player.
Sure, I mean they're similar themes. You're not seeing Vader or Palp, doing anything like that.
Right.
But you're seeing different units that can achieve the same objective. You're seeing, even a tank
range
in there.
4 fire that's
you're seeing
pushing a ton of dice.
Death Troopers. Yep. You're seeing Veers. You're seeing some middle management stuff. Boba Fett's still extremely prevalent in there. Bosk is,
killing
all
people
over the place.
Yeah.
He's actually, we're seeing Bosk being taken at a higher rate than Boba Fett even.
Yeah, he's new shiny, so.
It is true. It's true. But he's got a lot of, these Imperial gun lines that are starting to kind of pop up.
Sure.
Bosk fits very well into that.
Right.
So, there's a lot of different ways that Imperial stuff can really adjust. Whereas with Rebels, you're bringing 6 Z6 units, you're bringing 3 snipers, and
a hero to taste, basically. Yeah.
And either
it's boring.
Either you do
is Sabine
Wonder
available
Twins,
in this, or
she is,
She
yeah.
is.
Oh, okay.
And Sabine's popping up in quite a few lists as well. Mostly just in combination with either Luke or with Leia, or Luke and Leia, depending on how you want to squeeze your points. But you're not seeing the diversity as you get with the Imperials. Now, do you think that there is a little bit of an imbalance right now, or a significant imbalance, I should say?
I don't think it's an imbalance so much as it's just Rebels are harder to get the most out of, and the Imperials have more options. I don't know if I'd say better, but DTs, you've got Space Marine saves, you've got consistent damage out to range 4. They're expensive as hell, if you're running a fully kitted list.
But they're as expensive as their release counterparts, which were the Pathfinders, and you don't see Pathfinders.
But Pathfinders are harder to use, just because white dice make them less survivable.
Yeah.
They can also, I believe, in one of their config cards, they can go out to range 4.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah, they've got a range 4 shot there.
But it doesn't have suppressive.
Right. But what you're trading is the ability to, shape the battlefield a little bit more.
Yeah.
Imperials right now are very straightforward. See enemy, shoot enemy, kill enemy. Where Rebels, as is kind of thematic, they need to,
get a little more creative.
Get a little bit more creative to be able to bring all of that firepower to bear. The firepower that they have is pretty good. I mean, if a Z6 rolls hot, it's going to ruin your day no matter how many red dice you're throwing.
Yeah.
Hey, 8 hits. You're losing guys no matter how many red dice you're throwing. Matt and I were kind of talking about it, and Rebels are kind of like a race car. Mm-hmm. You put a person who drives their Kia Sorento to work every day and stick them in an Indy car or a Formula One car, and they're going to put it into the wall about 300 feet down the right.
Sure.
But if you take Lewis Hamilton, who's the Formula One, or Dale Earnhardt Jr., and put them in a race car, they're going to make it do things that you could really never imagine a car could do. They're going to drive it right up to the line, and they're going to do amazing things with it. So that's kind of where I think Rebels are right now, right? Huh. They're really easy to screw up.
Sure, but
there's very little, especially with white dice saves. There's no margin for error. You hang somebody out there in a disadvantageous position, you're going to lose it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
But we saw at LVO and at Adepticon, like that time frame, a very balanced mix of Rebels and Imperials.
Sure.
And I think that there were some lists with Imperials, like with Palp and stuff, that a little bit more diversity. And we've had about 3 or 4 releases for each faction since then. And you look at what the Rebels got. They've got Jyn, they got Pathfinders, they got a speeder,
Tricksy units,
Tricksy units, but none of them are meta changing. None of them are going to show up in competitive lists.
Absolutely.
Whereas, and I've played all 3 of them. I enjoy all 3 of them. Jyn and the Pathfinders I played consistently for like 3 months.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, and
it's it's hard to if you can't take them out early, they're hard.
Yeah.
They're really hard.
But I brought them when I went to play against LJ, and I saw what happens when I play against a list that's just built upon efficiency, and it doesn't hold up. And with the Imperials, with those the counterparts for those 3 releases were 3 meta changing things: Krennic, Death Troopers, and to a lesser extent the tank.
Right.
But the tank, I think, is going to show up a lot more often than the speeder. So,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Like with those 3 things coming into play, and then Bosk doesn't look like he's going to be a slouch either.
Right.
Now Sabine will be good, and I plan on playing Sabine. I've got some lists to bring her into play. But it worries me just a little bit, because if FFG seems to shift over to a Clone Wars focus, are they going to leave too much of an imbalance between the 2 factions?
I don't think they will, and I think you'll see Sabine hopefully kind of balance that out a little bit, because it's a pendulum, right? I mean, if you look at where we were 7-8 months ago when Han had just come out, you're looking at 2 really expensive commanders for the Imperials, and it was Veers, Boba, and DLTs, and they're either really good but you had Leia, Luke, Han, that was just like, wow, this is all really good together. So it swings back and forth.
Don't worry, John. The cavalry's on the way.
No, I'm really looking forward to playing the Tauntauns too. But again, with that, I don't know if the dewbacks are going to make a huge shift in the meta.
I don't think they will.
But
Shores are going to
be spicy.
Shores are going to be really good.
Shores are going to be real good. Hoth veterans, to a lesser extent,
sure,
they might be decent. They might be playable, but
depends on the Hoth veterans. I think are really going to depend on how good that emplacement ends up being.
That's true.
Shore troopers with T-21B, even without the mortar, are going to be good. Because you've got stormtrooper saves and rebel trooper guns.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that. And then the T-21 that's going to have critical. So I'm okay with that. I'm just hoping it doesn't end up costing me 90 points.
Yeah, it's going to be more expensive than stormtroopers.
Sure.
But with Tauntauns, like, they look awesome. I'm really excited to play them. But they're range 2 guns, and like I said before, if Death Troopers are going to be a strong part of the meta, hanging out guys who aren't going to get covered from suppression or anything like that, right in the deadly range of of the Death Troopers, that's not a smart move.
No,
and they're gonna wipe out both of them like that.
Yeah,
don't worry, smoke grenades are coming.
I do look forward to it.
And I trust FFG is also designing things for Clone Wars.
Sure.
For those guys that will also be useful in non macro binoculars and smoke grenades. Those will be useful as a piece of lineup sight blocking what smoke or whatever it ends up being. Having a stormtrooper unit that can spotter another unit, that's useful.
Yeah.
If you've got that one 4-man unit that just sits on an objective behind cover that you're like, oh, I'll just stand by her, well, okay, now you put the electro binoculars or macro binoculars on them.
Mm-hmm.
And a heal bot, and now they can revive your snipers and hand out aim tokens to them, and now they're exponentially more useful.
It'll change things for sure.
So
back to the original question about balance, where we're at with those two. Based on what I've seen playing both factions, is that I find both Empire and Rebels to be drastically underpowered and both in need of help. So.
Are you sure it's not operator error?
I'm pretty sure it's not. So.
Is your army
because otherwise it's my fault, and I don't like that.
Did you try turning him off and turning him back on again?
Oh, I did not. Okay.
Maybe you should try that.
Yeah.
Maybe you should also not bring air speeders.
Watch your
ridiculous.
sassy mouth.
That's not true.
Get out of here.
One other cool little point that Orchimedes brought up with his article was the bids have reduced.
Oh yeah,
significantly. The largest bid of the top 32 was 8 points.
Yeah,
fantastic.
And then,
love it.
Beyond that,
but most of it's clumped right around like 2 or 3 and 4, right?
Yeah. Honestly, the largest bid was 0.
Really?
Yeah, nine of the 32 bid 0. We had a couple of them at 1. A bunch of them at 2 and 3 and then 4, and then very few dropped, and then 8. There's one outlier at 8, and then nothing below that. So bids have become a less important factor, which is I think a great sign, because that means that the fixed to certain cards worked.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, key positions, having played it numerous times since the change, I think it plays a lot better. Rapid reinforcements. I don't even remember how rapid reinforcements worked before the fix.
Yeah.
And I'm liking it since then. So, kudos to FFG for balancing that out, not making bids to be critical. And also, that's probably a reflection of people not bringing lists that are reliant upon one card.
Right. Yeah.
There are certain cards that I like to go for. But a good balanced list isn't gonna rely that I have to have limited visibility for this to work.
Right.
I can't have limited visibility or else I'm screwed. I feel like having this reflects well on that.
Yeah.
So other than that, I mean, you saw a breakdown of obvious things. Troopers, stormtroopers and rebel troopers are the most common units. Strike teams for both factions are extremely popular, 2 and 3 snipers. So, not a lot of big surprises there. Like I said, to get down to the top 8, let me tell you who those top 8 finishes are right now. We've got Luke Cook, not surprisingly, against the aforementioned Rippus Masta, one of the 2 rebel players. Tower number 9, which I think was Davis Kingsley Tower, I think his name is. Kingsley. Yeah, against Orchimedes. So that'll be a good matchup.
Yeah.
And then Beefcake 4000 against Sploosh. And
I thought Josh was Beefcake 4000.
No, I'm Beefcake 40.
Or are you Sploosh?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I thought you were Beefcake over 9000.
Ooh.
And then Nikki Myland against Finn. So it'll be interesting to see how those play out. And then we'll try to get LJ on here one of these days and kind of recap how everything worked with that. To see the insider scoop
Very
on the Invader League.
So, John.
Yes.
You're getting ready for RPQ.
Yeah. So, doing an RPQ on Saturday down in Prescott, Arizona. So I know a few of the guys from Critical X, the objectively better Critical X podcast. They still are on their second episode.
Oh, are they?
No word on episode 3.
They doubled the amount of episodes they
That's
had.
true,
So,
yeah.
Overnight.
It's a great EPR bullet.
Yeah.
Right? So I'll see those guys down there. Looking forward to that. But we had an interesting situation kind of come up here.
Yeah.
A local store, not a local store.
Store in our region.
A regional store.
Which includes California, Nevada,
Utah,
Arizona, and Utah.
Colorado.
Was Colorado in there
I
too?
think so.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah.
But they had an
Delaware.
RPQ scheduled
Delaware,
for
Maine.
for last weekend, and they did not, or they moved the RPQ due to a scheduling conflict with a other war game. We're not going to mention that's far inferior to Legion, or inferior to Imperior. I made that up. I made a word up.
For the
Inferior of Man.
Yeah.
for the Imperior.
That is a far inferior game to Legion. And then they kind of arbitrarily decided they were going to schedule it this weekend without checking to see if Asmodai had already.
Asmodai's actually cool with that.
Yeah. And lo and behold,
Turns out they weren't.
another RPQ this weekend. So they kind of had to cancel it and left a number of people from other regions
in the lurch
about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So we're down basically one qualifier in this region.
yeah, and I'm none too happy about that. Because I had made plans to go to the one last week, and then like 3 or 4 days before, they're like, "Oh, hey, sorry, we're moving it."
Yeah.
Thanks. I mean, it's a good thing I didn't plan on flying or getting a hotel.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is like, oh, "Okay, well, we'll change our plans," and then they cancel it again. So now now you've screwed over people twice. It's disappointing.
Yeah.
I
I actually looked into seeing if we could run it on their behalf since we already had one. So we weren't down one for the region.
Sure.
And basically was politely declined because we already had one, so it would be unfair if you guys were run two. So
We can't monopolize all of the RPQs.
So yeah, exactly. Just most of them I was hoping, but October
Power
12th and
9
13th
Games,
coming to Power 9 Games. Yeah.
Power 9 Games, your RPQ headquarters.
Tickets are actually up on the Power 9 Games website too. So if you want to come, and we've got 32 spots, and we're expecting to sell them out.
Awesome.
If you want to come out to Vegas and lose to John and Josh, well then. I guess that's your prerogative.
I really don't think if somebody's going to travel here, they're going to lose to me.
Probably.
But yeah, we're going to Prescott this weekend. I forgot the name of the store, but I already bought my tickets.
Cool.
So yeah,
Good luck.
Have fun.
You're going down with a couple of guys, right?
I'm going down with Zach.
Good.
Yeah,
Guy's a shark.
Yeah, hopefully
He's the best
Okay, well,
because he beat me. Everybody that beats me is the best.
Well, hopefully, one of us can do some damage against those Critical X guys, because I don't want them to be objectively better than us.
No.
I don't think have any of us ever played any of the Critical
I
X
don't
guys?
think so. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see how we fail.
Yeah, I played John Bushman at LVO.
Did you win?
No.
So we're 0-1 against
We're 0-1.
Critical X.
Yeah. Man. But that's before they had a podcast, so it doesn't count.
Okay, fair enough.
Just want to say, John, we're all counting on you. Don't let us
Good luck.
down.
Yeah.
We'll be 0-4 by the time we get back.
Well, am I going to?
Well, that pretty much wraps it up for this week. You guys got anything else you want to talk about?
Nope.
I can't wait to go check out your Instagram.
Yeah, it's
Outrider _ John.
Yeah, Outrider _ John. So I'll get some pretty painting photos up there this week sometime.
Show that crackle effect because I actually really like that.
Yeah,
that
I'll do that too.
For the not Adobe Premiere brickwork.
All right, Outriders. Catch you next week.
You've been listening to the Legion Outriders podcast, a member of the Radio Free Tatooine Network.
Only now, at the end, do you understand?
For more from the Outriders, make sure you like us on Twitter at Legion Outriders, subscribe to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Legion Outriders, and make sure you like and subscribe to the podcast. Thanks for listening.
You're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home.